Okay, I've now got Photoshop open and the rendering has been downloaded from the cloud. Like I mentioned, it's probably going to show up in your downloads folder. So I'm just going to right click on it, open with, and if you don't see Photoshop here, you might have to go search for another app. Okay, once it loads in Photoshop, you'll notice that there is indeed no background, and that's because we chose to render this as an alpha transparency. Sky, all that information is gone. That allows us to bring in our own sky. We can go to Google, find an image that we really like, and then we're going to merge the two and incorporate it. And that's actually what I'm going to show you in this video, okay, how to add a background. The first thing you'll do is go to Google, and I've already done a search for a neighborhood background. There are all kinds of things that you could do here. You can search for a sky, you can search for a neighborhood, you can search for a park, a golf course, a university, and what the important elements are is you need to have a fair amount of sky. You're going to get into trouble if the horizon line or the backdrop is so high that you just don't have enough room here. Also, this can't be too busy. You get too many clouds, you get a lot of contrast, then it just doesn't work anymore. And then last of all, you need to have some sort of tree at the horizon line or at the tree line. You need to have maybe something like this. Those things just kind of help disguise the horizon line that exists in your rendering. Okay, so let me show you. Let me just demonstrate. I'm going to right click on this and copy the image. And when you're doing your search, I think it's a good idea that you go to Tools and adjust this to a large search, and then you'll only get big enough images to work with your rendering. Okay, now that I've copied it, I come in here and I'm just going to type in Control-V. Okay, that takes my image and it pasted it directly over the top of my rendering. Over here in the Layers palette, you can see that I've got now Layer 1 and 0. If I turn off Layer 1, it shows the rendering behind it. Okay, and clearly it's too big. This just came in really big by comparison. I can click on it and move it around, and if I need to, I'll shrink the thing down. This can be done by going to Edit, Free Transform, or Control-T. Now see the boundaries or the perimeter of the larger background image, and I'm just going to shrink it down to where I think it'll look good. And the best way to know when you're done stretching this, by the way, is that you're going to click on the check mark. Now notice that as I did this, I could have really changed the proportions here, but I chose not to just by holding down Shift. When you hold down Shift, it's all constrained. Okay, but when I'm done, I'm going to select this. That means we're done making those changes. I'm now going to take this layer and I'm going to drag it behind the original layer, Layer 0. And so now we start to see some of the sky in the background. And even that big tree over here is still there, and really that's not bad at all. Okay, I see a little bit of the horizon from that mountain or hill that was back there. It seems to work pretty well with my rendering, so we can leave it alone. We'll just leave it right there. And what I'm referring to with hiding that horizon line is if I can see a sharp line here from the rendering, I want to make sure that doesn't feel like it's truly the horizon. I want to go with whatever the horizon line is in the image. That usually makes for a more realistic looking rendering. Okay, once that's done, there's really not a whole lot more left for me to do here. I can keep playing around with the position. I can try to resize it again, but for the most part this feels complete. The sky's done. It might be a good idea to go back to Google, find 2 or 3 more. I can put them in. So let's go back to this search and try this one. Again, we're going to right click, copy image, and I'm going to paste it in also. Okay, that one wasn't quite as large, but it did come in behind my Layer 0, and that's a good thing in this case. I'm going to turn off the first one. We want to see it without that. I'm going to do the Control-T again so that I can enlarge this. Again, I can hold down Shift, or I might choose not to. And then I'll accept. And that's a nice sky too, if I'm looking for more of a clear, no cloudy day. And then to compare the two, turn that one off, turn the other one back on. Now I can toggle back and forth. Decide which one I like best. Okay, make sure you save it. And when you do this, it's going to want to save it as a Photoshop document, which implies there's more than one layer over here. For right now, for the time being, that's just fine. Eventually we're going to get rid of multiple layers, but for right now that's okay. Save it as a PSD. And we're done.